Hello everyone. Welcome back to Lady Show English. I'm so glad you're here today. In this video, we're going to explore a fascinating topic about our closest animal relatives, chimpanzees. Did you know that chimps can follow trends just like humans do? It's an amazing discovery that teaches us a lot about social behavior and learning. So let's dive in and learn some useful English along the way. Scientists discovered something surprising at a chimpanzee sanctuary in Zambia, Africa. A sanctuary is a safe place where animals can live and be protected. In this sanctuary, researchers noticed that chimpanzees started a new behavior, almost like a fashion trend. Some chimps began to dangle grass or small sticks from their ears. To dangle means to hang loosely. Imagine wearing an earring, but instead of jewelry, it's a piece of grass. The interesting part is that this behavior spread to other chimps in the group. When something spreads, it moves from one individual to another, just like when a popular dance move becomes viral on social media. Let me teach you an important phrase here: to pick up a habit. When we say someone picks up a habit, it means they start doing something by watching or copying others. For example, I picked up the habit of drinking tea from my British colleague. In this case, the chimpanzees picked up the habit of dangling grass from each other. The behavior didn't stop with just one group. More than 10 years later, a different group of chimpanzees living about 9 miles away started doing the same thing. 9 miles is quite far, so these chimps couldn't have seen the first group doing it. This made scientists curious about how the behavior spread. The word curious means wanting to know or learn about something. Scientists are naturally curious people because they always want to understand why things happen. Here's where the story gets really interesting. The researchers discovered that human caregivers might have influenced the chimps. A caregiver is a person who takes care of someone or something. In this case, the caregivers were the staff members who looked after the chimpanzees. Some of these caregivers had a habit of cleaning their ears with matchsticks or small twigs. The chimps apparently watched the humans and copied this behavior. This is called interspecies learning, which means learning between different species. Let me introduce you to a useful expression: to catch on. When something catches on, it becomes popular and many people start doing it. We often use this phrase when talking about trends. For instance, that new hairstyle really caught on among teenagers. In our story, the ear-dangling behavior caught on among the chimpanzees. So why do chimpanzees follow these trends? According to the research, it's all about social connection and fitting in. The phrase fitting in means being accepted as part of a group. Just like teenagers might wear certain clothes or use specific slang to fit in with their friends, chimps seem to adopt behaviors to strengthen their social bonds. A bond is a connection or relationship between individuals. Scientists observed that the chimps mostly did this behavior during leisure time. Leisure time is your free time when you're not working or doing necessary tasks. The chimps would dangle grass from their ears while grooming and playing together. Grooming is when animals clean each other's fur, and it's an important social activity for primates. Through grooming, chimps build friendships and maintain peaceful relationships within their group. Here's an important grammar point to notice. When we talk about habitual or repeated actions, we often use the present simple tense. For example, the chimps dangle grass from their ears describes a regular behavior. However, When we describe the specific moment when the behavior started, we use the past simple. A female chimp started to dangle objects from her ear. Understanding when to use different tenses helps you tell stories more naturally in English. This story teaches us several words related to social behavior that you can use in everyday English. First, there's influence, which means to have an effect on someone or something. Parents influence their children, friends influence each other, and even social media influences our choices. Another useful word is adopt. When you adopt a behavior, you start using it yourself. For example, after living in Spain, I adopted the habit of taking afternoon naps. We also learned about tradition. A tradition is a custom or belief that is passed down from one generation to another. The chimpanzees' grass dangling could be considered a social tradition within their groups. In human society, we have many traditions, like celebrating birthdays with cake or shaking hands when we meet someone new. Let me teach you a common collocation, social norm. A norm is a standard or expected behavior in a society. When we combine it with social, we get social norm, which means the unwritten rules about how people should behave in a group. Following trends is one way both humans and chimps follow social norms. The researchers compared this chimpanzee behavior to human fashion trends. Think about how quickly new trends spread today, especially through social media. One day, nobody is wearing a certain style of shoes, and the next week, everyone wants them. This is similar to what happened with the chimps. When one individual starts something new and others think it looks interesting or cool, they want to try it too. There's a great phrasal verb that describes this, to take off. When something takes off, it becomes suddenly successful or popular. For example, that singer's career really took off after her video went viral. In the sanctuary, the grass dangling behavior took off quickly among the chimpanzee groups. Another researcher mentioned that this finding is mind-blowing. When something is mind-blowing, it's so surprising or impressive that it's hard to believe. We use this informal expression to show extreme amazement. You might say, the special effects in that movie were mind-blowing. It's a great way to express that you're really impressed by something. This research teaches us that culture and social learning aren't unique to humans. The word unique means being the only one of its kind. Many scientists used to think that only humans could develop cultural traditions and pass them on to others. However, this study shows that chimpanzees, our closest relatives in the animal kingdom, share this ability with us. The study also reminds us of the importance of observation. Observation means watching carefully to learn or gather information. Both the scientists who studied the chimps and the chimps who learned from their caregivers used observation skills. This is actually one of the best ways to learn a new language too. When you observe how native English speakers use phrases and expressions in different contexts, you naturally pick up more natural language patterns. Here's a useful phrase for expressing similarity, just like or just as. We use these to compare two things that are similar. For example, chimpanzees follow trends just like humans do, or just as children copy their parents, young chimps copy adult chimps. This comparison structure is very common in English and helps you make your speaking and writing more interesting. Scientists are now planning to study whether chimpanzees can repeatedly create new techniques for finding food. This relates to the concept of cumulative culture. Cumulative means increasing or growing by adding more and more. Cumulative culture is when each generation builds on what the previous generation learned, creating more and more complex knowledge over time. Humans are very good at this, which is why we have advanced technology and sophisticated societies. The word innovation is also important here. Innovation means creating something new or finding a new way of doing things. When someone innovates, they're not just copying what others do, they're inventing something original. The researchers want to know if chimps can innovate repeatedly, which would show they have even more advanced cognitive abilities than we previously thought. Cognitive abilities are your mental skills like thinking, learning, and remembering. Since we're talking about chimpanzees and their intelligent behavior, let's learn some related vocabulary that often appears in science and nature discussions. First, there's primate. Primates are a group of mammals that includes humans, apes, and monkeys. We're all primates because we share certain characteristics like forward-facing eyes and flexible hands. Another useful term is evolutionary. This adjective relates to evolution, which is the process by which living things change and develop over millions of years. We might say, chimpanzees are our closest evolutionary relatives. This means that humans and chimps shared a common ancestor millions of years ago, which is why we have so many similarities. When discussing animal behavior, you'll often hear the phrase in the wild versus in captivity. In the wild means in natural habitats where animals live freely, while in captivity means in places like zoos or sanctuaries where humans care for them. The article mentions that wild chimps might also follow trends, but it's easier to observe these behaviors in sanctuaries where researchers can watch the animals more closely. Let's learn some everyday English expressions about trends and social behavior. When something becomes very popular quickly, we say it goes viral. Originally, this term came from how viruses spread from person to person, but now we use it positively to describe ideas or content that spread rapidly on the internet. Another common expression is to jump on the bandwagon. A bandwagon was originally a wagon that carried a band in a parade, and people would literally jump on it to be part of the excitement. Now it means to start doing something because many other people are doing it. For example, after seeing my friends' post-workout videos, I jumped on the bandwagon and started exercising too. We also use peer pressure to describe the influence that people in your social group have on your behavior. Peer means someone who is equal to you in age, status, or ability. Peer pressure can be positive or negative. While the chimps don't experience pressure in the same way humans do, they do feel the social benefit of conforming to group behaviors. To conform means to follow rules or standards, especially those of a group. Well, that brings us to the end of today's lesson. We've explored how chimpanzees follow trends just like humans do, and we've learned so much useful English vocabulary and expressions along the way. From picking up habits to going viral, these phrases will help you talk about social behavior and trends in your daily conversations. Remember, here at Ladies Show English, we focus on bringing you news and topics related to health, food, travel, business, technology, and the environment. Our goal is to help you learn English through real-world content that connects to your everyday life. Learning English doesn't have to be boring. It can be as fascinating as discovering that chimps have fashion trends. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our new videos. Thank you so much for learning with me today. and I'll see you in the next lesson. Keep practicing, and remember, learning English is a journey, so enjoy every step of the way. Bye for now.